What you see in front of you is a 25-year-old man attempting to bridge the gap between Roblox and his adulthood. I'm saying this because Roblox has 207 million monthly users and it's one of the most popular games to speedrun. Why? I have no idea. So today, out of all of the games that I didn't even know existed, I decided to see how many kids I can beat on the leaderboards by speedrunning the horror game Pressure, where we play as an expendable prisoner tasked to plunge deep into the Halo black site that is filled with anomaly entities lurking in the shadows. Our objective is simple: retrieve the crystal and escape. As we arrive to our destination, that is the submarine dock, there is already so much to unravel. Who are we exactly? What even is this place? And why do we need to risk our lives to collect the crystal? But first, let us collect the keycard and open door number 1 to begin the timer for our speedrun. The catch with this speedrun is that even with over 300 solo attempts, with 16 crystals collected, as John Cena, having to open 114 doors to get from A to B, with the sequence of rooms being different each run, it's not tied to you at all because it's all RNG. Each room is randomized and varies in length, complexity and surprises, which means that in order to get a record-breaking time, one must be very lucky and also kind of skilled. As you've noticed, I've been ravaging the drawers whilst W-keying and yapping because the currency of this game, that is research, can be used in Sebastian's shop, located between door 47 and 52. The shop sells various useful items that will assist us on our journey, so the strat is to collect just over 250 research, with 100 going to the code breacher, a one-time use master keycard, and the rest to a flashlight. To see. The lights just flickered because that's our signal to prepare for the first of many monsters lurking within Black Site. Introducing the Angler, a dangerous entity that can cause instant death to those in plain sight. Now, to avoid this, we must hide in a locker only when it's close by, as going in too early can trigger our klephyrophobia and force us out. This becomes more intense as we progress, so getting the timing right is crucial if we want to survive. Despite all the dangers thus far, we're still left with no choice but to progress further and retrieve the crystal for the Corporation Urban Shade. As an inmate from the maximum security prison, it's our only option to be pardoned. It's said that the crystal was located on Thor's body, currently unknown who and what Thor was, but after extraction the crystal was placed in a container to power the black site due to its large source of power. Which explains why doing a task like searching for a keycard to unlock a door and having dangerous entities lurking around is reserved only for criminals who are expendable like ourselves. As we go through door 15 and walk up the stairs, we continue the strat of opening as many drawers as possible without stopping, so we can guarantee 250 research by the time we meet Sebastian. And the lights just flickered again because chaos is now coming our way. Typically we would wait at the bottom locker, but knowing it's a speedrun, we need to be reckless here and hope we don't get killed rolling the dice. We wait until the screaming passes by and can now get on our way. Now right here is too dark to see, so we might as well go over the different variants of the Angler that also exist within the black site. We have Blitz, the one that makes the lights flicker twice before rushing down rapidly, killing anyone in sight. Then Pinky, who doesn't make the lights flicker, but is very loud as it rushes down the hallway. Froga can rebound twice with its lower pitch screaming and dirty yellow complexion. And Chainsmoker, who leaves a trail of green smoke that quickly forces anyone out of the locker, but is very slow, so it gives time to adapt and not die. There's the Multi-Monster and Death Angel that are both extremely rare to be seen, as one has a 0.2 spawn rate and the other, well, you need an admin for it. Now we've reached the second lock at door 24, and we tackle this by doing the usual of opening every drawer within the vicinity. And here's our first item of the run, which is a lantern that we can use to light up any dark areas, and all that's left now is a keycard. And there we have it. After completing a full loop, which isn't ideal for speed, we can progress further by unlocking the door and into the same exact room. We lean against the wall here because one of the other monsters residing in this place is called Good People, and their purpose is by being bad by faking a door and tricking anyone into opening it, dealing significant damage. A strat to avoid this is to listen out for the growling and breathing at the door, like I did previously, as well as avoiding the lit up numbers in the dark. We also never listen to any of the intercoms because it can't be trusted, as it can give out fake directions. And here comes Pinky. Like I said before, the scream can be heard a mile away, So let's just camp around the locker until it's too close for comfort. So far we have seen 2 of the 5 node monsters that we previously covered, with the rest making a potential appearance later on. But for now, let's take a dive underwater and explore the abandoned Hado Black site. Began construction in 1962 and finished in 1964, the underwater base is one of the largest facilities that Urban Shade owns, and is used to research numerous entities for their powers. The base is located 67,320 studs underwater, studs being the unit of measurements used in Roblox, and for reference, a Roblox character is around 6 studs tall. Meaning at this depth we have pierced through the veil of the Let Van zone, a phenomenon where the crushing water pressure becomes of a swimming pool, allowing organisms and the fast entity coming our way to exist here. Since the angler destroyed all the hallway lights passing through here, we can whip out the lantern and see what's ahead. Quickly grab the research and we are now met with the dilemma of choosing which door to open. And it looks like for our first attempt we have picked the wrong door. So rest in pepperonis to the 5 seconds that was wasted. Nevertheless, with all things considered, we have been doing quite well, but I could be talking shit because we just ran into more friction up ahead, so we have to take the stairs down and go underneath that reaches the spider cave. Of course, there's the deadly spider residing in this area, as there's something hanging on the ceiling, but it's not confirmed and will never be because I'm not a fan of them, so let's just stick to the path here and just leave this place as soon as possible. We should be close to reaching Sebastian here, who's a predominant figure of this story, and our only friend apparently, because everyone else wants it dead. But that can wait, as we first need to find the keycard here, and eventually locate the crystal. Dots of blue dots suggest that it needs a keycard, and is easily identified from afar, especially in the dark. And once the keycard is used on the reader, we can return to the light and be safe. I lied because here comes the monster at this station. Do not look into its eyes, it's the strategy, so whichever direction it pulls you in, look the opposite way. However, this is what happens if you do out of curiosity. We have the angler making another appearance, which means that we're going to cover as much distance as possible before the desperate screams can be heard. And after going through the correct door, we now have to avoid the turret guarding the door up ahead, whilst anticipating the monster coming up. Speaking of the devil, we dash into the locker here, and just wait until the angler passes by whilst being cautious of the laser. Getting locked onto it's lethal because unless we can avoid its line of sight, we're pretty much dead. And what we seen just there was one of these squibbles, who are harmless unless light is shined upon them or if we stand too close for too long. And here's the footage of this happening when they're provoked. Now that we're underwater again, I can't help but notice how oddly calming this is. But at the same time, if this was real life, I'd be saying otherwise because deep ocean scary. We put our lantern to use here by flicking it on and off along the hallway to avoid getting attacked by the squibbles. And with the power of memory after 300 runs, we only need to see things briefly, which is enough to mentally map out the rest. This isn't true, I just wanted to sound cool. However, it does save a lot of fuel that we can maximise at the final stretch of the run, like the ridge and the abyss. That's where we truly need to lock in, as stakes are significantly higher. So for now we just cruise along in search of a keycard while staying vigilant, because you never know, something might creep up on us behind our backs. Cough cough. And if we unlock the door here and follow the green light, we are met with Sebastian in his shop, where we grab the keycard and only buy a code breacher, as we already have a light, so that's all we need. Since we didn't get to examine the absolute specimen due to our ferocious speed, let's instead unravel what's known as Sebastian. Once human, Sebastian Solis was charged with 9 murders and was sentenced to death by electric chair. It was until Urban Shade swooped him up and faked the death of his execution. This was essentially to use him for experiments like merging the DNA of various sea creatures, including the up-and-coming mutated anglerfish. Though it was a success, this left Sebastian with a monstrous appearance that later became irreversible. Now unable to leave due to what he became, Sebastian now seeks revenge to destroy Urban Shade from the inside, subsequently releasing all the confined monsters from their cells, causing the lockdown on Blacksite. It was later discovered that the crimes that Sebastian has committed was false and was wrongfully sentenced to death. And we have just arrived in a room that I've never been to before, so I guess there's always something new to experience every time I speedrun this game, which is refreshing, but at the same time, what the fuck was that? This brings me to the 6 POIs that are guaranteed in this game, 2 of which we already experienced, such as the submarine dock at the beginning and Sebastian's shop, with the rest coming up as we progress. And on that note, here comes Frogger. As stated, Frogger will rush through the hallway, then bounce back before fading away into the distance for the time being. And while it's away, we just cover as much distance as possible before retreating into a locker once again. Another tactic to avoid these node monsters is to branch off the main hallway if it's available and hide behind something to avoid its line of sight. We now enter into a vent as the door is blocked off, which leads us to a dark room with debris. For the lockers here, we see some purple dots peeking out, as inside resides one of the monsters called Puddles of Void Mass, where if you open one up as a solo, you die with no second chances, like so. With the purple keycard we just picked up, we match it against the purple reader and enter the prelude of the grand encounter, where we fix some generators by hitting the red marker on the white bar for a total of 4 times until the spanner is filled up. We can only proceed once the generator is fixed, and whilst this may seem easy to do, well, because it is, as it's really just the game's way of giving us a tutorial for what's to come. Now we can head through the door and into the build up of the grand encounter, which is a viewing deck that oversees the searchlight up ahead. Obviously we can't stand and observe the view, so the reveal of the searchlight can wait once we head down the flight of stairs here and drop down into the hole. And of course we need to open some drawers before activating the hangar door and begin the reveal of the searchlight cutscene. This is where we are required to fix 5 generators without getting spotted by the giant beams of light, as I almost just did there. In terms of strat, I like to first scout for the generators on the right side, then look round the left side to avoid running into the searchlight, as it circles the room in a clockwise manner. However, the path we take isn't always the same, as the generators that require repair are randomised, and the more we fix, the faster the searchlight will go. So it's best to stay vigilant, unless you enjoy getting impaled and eaten alive. Now for this run, we have struck gold, as 2 generators are next to each other, but looks like we see the searchlight making its round to this side of the facility, which means that we must hurry and get the job done here, otherwise we're going to get ourselves killed. And it sounds like it's getting too close for comfort, so we need to ditch this for now and hide under some boxes. Once tucked in, we can avoid its line of sight until the lemon face goes away. Then we can pick up where we left off and finish the job, like so. Unfortunately, the last generator isn't anywhere near the exit, so we must now walk all the way here, which adds more time to the speedrun. This category is extremely competitive, so 1 second added means 1 child better than me on the leaderboards, as I fuck up the last part of the generator like an idiot. And now that we've been signaled to leave, and I might die here. I forgot to say, but if we were ever spotted by this thing, there's only a 2 to 3 second window for us to hide before getting impaled. And luckily, we were next to some boxes, which prevented this from happening. The exit is on the opposite side of where we came from, and once we leave, we pick up the purple keycard here and open the set of doors. We've just been denied here because that was a bug there, which usually happens when the hangar door behind us begins to shut. Nonetheless, we press on despite all the obstacles that we had to overcome. And will you look at that, we have a special delivery coming our way after a long day of fixing some generators. I don't think we should head any further until the big man passes by, so let's just hide in a locker here before taking the stairs. I'm not going to lie, but I have never been here before, because usually there's water that you need to swim across to get to the other side. So yeah, I'm quite confused. I don't usually stop and watch, but what the fuck is this? Wait a minute. So I just received word from HQ, and apparently this is called the Playground Forest. It contains corpse trees, which, as the name suggests, is a tree with a corpse attached to it. Now this by no means is a playground of any sort. So let's just stick to the path of green beacons and just hope we don't get attacked. And once we reach the top of the stairs, we can swiftly make an exit and be tasked with finding another keycard right after. The annoying shark has reappeared, as it can spawn in any rooms with large windows, but since we're here to search for a keycard, we can avoid its gaze for the time being and dump some lore. The infestation was originally a bull shark until it became the first to go through the gruesome experiment of gaining the ability to kill anyone telepathically by eye contact. The experiment consisted of gouging out the eyeballs and leaving them for more than 18 hours to have them genetically modified. And once the procedure was completed, the eyeballs was implanted back into the patient. This was all performed without anesthesia to prevent the alter of brain chemistry, and though it was a success, this game was serious side effects, such as the substantial amount of eyeballs growing out its skin, as well as from the inside. And due to the pain of the procedure, only 16 agents has acquired the ability, with only having the side effects of green eyes with crossed out pupils. This probably explains why the eye infestation is always out to kill us, because the poor thing had to experience all of that for no reason. But on a positive note, the storytelling and world building in this game is absolutely insane, which isn't something I expect to see in Roblox, so hats off to the developers on this one. This is where we enter the maintenance tunnel, which is a long hallway with red emergency lights, where we need to duck under the steam here to avoid knockback and damage. And since the lights just flickered in a place where lockers are limited, we need to hide in one of the rooms to the right, which is the best option here, because by the sound of it, is the pandemonium that's coming our way. This monster is slow on its approach until it locks onto its target and rushes towards them, killing them instantly. This can be avoided if we hide in a locker, but we'll be forced to play a minigame, which takes time, or do what we did there and just tuck behind something to prevent ourselves from being seen. In this room, we once again have to collect a purple keycard to get through the door and into the vent, and another keycard within the black site is the yellow one that we will expect to see once we get to the ridge. Vents can be used to hide from monsters as long as we are tucked in, and a room like this is ideal for a speedrun because it's simple and easy to get through. We've just been alerted, so let's see who we have this time round. I kinda hope the variety keeps on coming so I can make this the most comprehensive speedrun, but at the same time, please don't be the Frogger or Pandemonium because they are both the biggest time wasters. And it looks like we have the Chain Smoker coming away, which isn't too bad because it's slow like the Pandemonium, so the only issue is the trail of green smoke as it can cause us to start tweaking, intensifying our claustrophobia. But as we live to see another day, we can follow the fading smoke that can guide us through the black site. As I almost walked off the map here, so let's not do that and be more cautious next time, especially when we're closing in on door 100. We've pretty much grown accustomed to the shark at this point, but in another universe where we have a flash beacon and would like to cramp up the difficulty, we can piss the shark off by flashing its eyes with light, red meaning enraged and purple meaning outraged. And speaking of purple, the locker here is indeed a trap. We have a freebie here, so hopefully this continues until the end of the run, because as you know, everything about this game is very much RNG based. We have now reached door 100 and must now navigate through what seems like the command center of some sort, with a viewing deck facing towards the entrance of the ridge. Do a small skip here using the plant for leverage and drop down to spare a couple seconds of our time. And once this opens, we can head in and pull the switch that triggers the door. There aren't any existing glitches that can speed up the process, so we must painfully watch the timer run on as we wait. There it is, in all its glory. The crystal. Unfortunately, that's just a decoration, as the real one is sitting in the control room within the ridge. The airlock acts as a passage between two differing environments, so I'm assuming in the universe of pressure, the doors here are used to prevent contamination or change in air pressure within the black site. I'm not an expert by the way, so don't trust what I say. Quick rundown of this place before it potentially goes to shit is that once we secure the crystal in the control room here, the lights go off and monsters will be spawning in more frequently. Hence why we need as much lantern fuel as possible for navigation. This is probably one of the coolest parts of the run. As someone who enjoys animation, we get to see the realism and the resistance of the crystal as it gets pulled out of its container with our stubs. It's now dark and scary as the primary power system has gone offline, and it's going to stay like this until the backup generators are up and running. And like always, we follow the green lights in time of turmoil because green is good, apart from these guys. Our objective now is to power the external repellent battery for the cannons so that our submarine can land safely at the docks. And already we are bombarded with some telepathic abilities from a shark, but psychs, looks like we're away. The ridge is guaranteed in a run, but the rooms within are very much randomised. So we can only hope that we get the shortest route and get this over and done with very soon. We have our first ridge monster here, which sounds like an angler, so we just avoid that and proceed to follow the screams. The power system is slowly coming back on and we can fully see our surroundings for the time being, until it goes off once again. This means we'll be spamming our lantern with caution, and what's beeping here is in fact the death zone. Stand in it for too long, our head explodes. and let us finally use our code breacher before giving out an explanation. So specific frequencies can trigger the prisoner diving gear, which is equipped with a modified shotgun shell pointing directly at the user's neck. So as soon as the beeping goes off, either go back or press on. The lack of volume we have here doesn't do any justice to the atmosphere right now, which is something I would like to apologise for because the soundtrack is truly amazing, especially for the final encounter. And in case you haven't noticed, we're on a running streak right now. Never mind, I hear the chain smoker and the shark is looking directly at us. Nice. Since the lights are out, we only have our ears to rely on for the node monsters coming our way, as I struggle to keep my eyes off the shark. But we should be reaching the end of the ridge here and into the final encounter, which means that out of all of the node monsters that we've seen since the beginning of the run, Blitz is the only one that didn't make an appearance. Which is good, by the way, because Blitz is very fast and harder to time. I swear I'd be so much further ahead if it weren't for these doors that take 10 years to open. I mean, think of the kids and their attention spans. This must be torture for them to wait for. Unless... And what we have here is another viewing deck, which faces out to the final POI, called the Abyss, also known as the trenches of the Let Van zone. Our final task is to swim out and fix all the damaged cables so that the external repellent cannon can be activated. The airlock here is actually the only safe entrance to the Let Van zone, making it a crucial POI to the story. And as we eagerly wait for the doors to open, we head straight for the path of green beacons. Its light source can prevent us from getting swarmed by parasites swimming in the dark. And since we're at the final stretch of the speedrun, we won't be able to fully take in the trench breeder towering on top of us, but that doesn't mean it can't be seen, as the scale of it is otherworldly. Standing at 1500 studs tall with a weight of 220,600 tons, the trench breeder, named Lucy, is exactly twice the size of famous Twitch streamer Queso. Now that we're taking this cave route, we can see the approach of a searchlight, as of course fixing some cables across the ocean floor isn't going to come easy. What we have here is the arena where the cannon is situated, and as we wait for the searchlight to pass by, we have to be mindful of its movements here, as it's randomized. The cables have the same mechanics as the generators, but instead of 4.5 clicks, it's 2.5 here. And the 7 we need to fix are scattered randomly, with each having a yellow spark that is easily spotted in the dark. So all we need to do is stay vigilant whilst working away, because we only have one chance at this, and I don't want to lose this run. The strats that I like to adopt is to prioritize all the cables on the seabed first, then handling any remaining ones in the cavern right after. This is muscle memory at this point, and the second searchlight has just spawned in our face. Luckily there's debris around this area that we can hide in until it's gone. Now we just maintain our distance while swimming in a clockwise position until we see the next cable that we can fix. There generally isn't a time limit of doing this, but in order to increase our chances of getting a sub 30 speedrun, we need to go full steam ahead and even risk our chances of getting spotted. I guess sticking close to them has paid off, because we have now freed up a lot of room here for ourselves. And if we take care of this one, like so, we will soon be awarded with another searchlight coming our way. We can see that the last two cables are within our reach, but since we have fixed the majority of them, the searchlights have gotten significantly faster. As much as I don't like cowering in fear, this is very much necessary if we want to come out this alive. So we just dodge and weave until it passes by, so we can swiftly swim out and begin fixing our wires back together. I guess there's perks to lowering the volume of the background music, because I can hear how close each of the searchlights are without having the soundtrack sending my heartbeat into overdrive. Okay, now that that's done, we can head for the center shaft of the arena. Honestly, I don't know how I did not die there. The cavern here is connected to where we need to go, but if in a state of confusion, just follow the beeps and the lights shining up. We can pull the switch from the back here and swim up to where we came from while checking our surroundings. And what we see ahead of us, minus the searchlight, is in fact the lit up cannon preparing to fire some torpedoes. What the cannon aims at and what they hit is very much unknown. Other than that, they sure make a great light source for us to take advantage of. As instructed earlier, we must take the cave back without letting our guard down yet, as we're getting pursued by the one and only Lemonface, aka Searchlight. Now we must do some underwater gymnastics to dodge and weave this annoying ass beam that we almost died from, but once it settles we can slip past and hopefully do the same for the rest of them. Looks like it's a mission accomplished, which means that if nothing goes wrong from here on out, we can place quite high on the leaderboards. We don't get to see this as we're too locked in, but a searchlight will make its last effort to grief until Lucy swoops in and stomp it to death. Whether that was a coincidence is unknown, but Mr. Shade has instructed that once all the minerals has been stripped from the abyss, only Lucy, out of the 4 trench breeders, is to be switched into free roam mode, while the rest will be shut down and dismantled. Is it because Mr. Shade named Lucy after his stillborn daughter? We'll never know. At least for now anyway. Nevertheless, we have yapped away back into the black site, and this is where we just eyeball the timer in hopes that we secure a sub 30-minute speedrun. Looks like the likelihood of this happening is quite high, because the next door is truly the end. This has been quite the roller coaster of a journey, but all scary things must come to an end as John Cena is coming home. And there we have it, 29 minutes 54 seconds, which puts us top 63 in the world. This means I am probably one of the oldest Roblox speedrunner, but at the same time faster than 161 million players that has ever touched this game. Thank you so much for watching, and subscribe.